Gemini, unexpected events have changed your routine. Be prepared. The winds are shifting, can you feel it? There's a current moving just beneath the surface of your daily life. Subtle but undeniable. As if time is slowed and something unknown is quietly drawing closer. You may not be able to name it yet, but deep inside, your spirit already knows. A wave of unexpected transformation is about to reach you. And this time, it's not chaos, it's a divine realignment. You've always been fluid, adaptable, curious. But lately, even your boundless spirit has craved a sense of order, rhythm, safety. You've built a routine that works. You've made it through the noise. But Gemini, what if life is ready to offer you more than what works? What if the universe is whispering, there's another path waiting, and it begins with a disruption you didn't plan for? This isn't about fear. It's about freedom. The next days and weeks will reveal pieces of a bigger story, one you're meant to live, not just survive. And while you may not understand every twist right away, trust this. Every shakeup is a step towards something more aligned, more expansive, and more you. So stay with me. Let's walk through what's coming together. I'm Elizabeth, and this is Esoteric Wisdom, a space for healing, insight, and soulful astrology. If you feel supported by what you receive here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The journey ahead is rich, and you won't want to walk it alone. Gate 1. When routine breaks, the sacred disruption, Gemini. Gemini, let's begin with honesty. You thrive on movement, novelty, and the electricity of possibilities. But even you, the eternal student of life, sometimes find yourself lulled into the comfort of predictability, into rhythms that feel safe, conversations that feel familiar, days that flow without friction, until suddenly they don't. Lately, something has started to shift. You may have noticed little irritations rising to the surface, restlessness that doesn't quite make sense, a strange pull in your gut, like life is knocking, but not yet showing its face. These are not random emotions, Gemini. They are signals. The old rhythm is breaking, not to punish you, but to make space for something new. You see, the universe isn't interested in keeping you safe. It's interested in waking you up. And what's approaching isn't a gentle adjustment. It's a cascade of unexpected events designed to rearrange the very foundations of your routine. You may already be sensing this. Small disruptions, surprise conversations, opportunities arriving from strange places, or people showing up who shake your perspective without warning. It can feel disorienting, especially for someone who has spent the last few months trying to find a center, some sense of stability amid the larger collective chaos. And yet, even in your stability, something within you began to dim. You were moving through life, yes, but were you fully living it? Gemini, you are being reawakened. These shakeups may feel like inconveniences at first, like delays, like emotional friction, but they are part of a larger story, one that has been writing itself behind the curtain of your everyday choices. Your soul knows it. That's why the routines that once brought comfort now feel heavy. That's why your energy feels like it's been trying to stretch in a cage that no longer fits. This isn't burnout. It's transformation trying to break through structure. And the first sign of change? Disruption. Imagine your life as a room. For so long, everything was in place. But now, the walls are shifting. The furniture is being moved. The lights are flickering, not from malfunction, but because a new circuit is being wired. This is messy. This is uncomfortable. This is sacred. Because when routine breaks, truth can finally breathe. You may be asked to make decisions quickly. You may be guided to places you didn't plan to go. You may find yourself reacting to people and situations with more intensity than usual. Don't resist it. These moments are not random. They are invitations to trust your instincts, to let go of perfect timing, to say yes before you fully understand why. In astrology, we often fear Uranian transits because they disrupt, but what they truly do is liberate. And Gemini, you are under a Uranian influence now. Sudden insight, sudden movement, sudden clarity, all pushing you to stop living from habit and start living from alignment. And yes, I know, you've worked hard to build what you have. You've carefully curated relationships, responsibilities, patterns. Letting go feels like risking everything. But here's the thing, not all structures are meant to last. Some were built for the version of you that you've already outgrown. So let them fall. Let the schedule crack open. Let the roles shift. Let the plan unravel. Because what's forming underneath is not chaos, it's clarity. And you don't need to control the entire process. You only need to stay awake inside of it. Keep your heart open, your body grounded, your mind flexible. Pay attention to a chance meeting that feels strangely significant, a job offer or a creative idea that comes when you weren't even looking, a friend revealing something that changes the dynamic completely, a deep need to restructure your space, your time, your commitments. All of these are signs, threads, pieces of a larger orchestration moving you forward. And it won't all happen at once. It will unfold like dominoes, one thing setting off another, then another, until you suddenly find yourself standing in a new rhythm you didn't consciously choose, but that somehow fits more truthfully than the one before. Gemini, you are not being punished. You are being rerouted. This is your soul correcting its course. And even though the road ahead may feel uncertain, you are not lost. You are being led by something wiser than logic, by the deep, untamed intelligence of your intuition. And that part of you, the wild, intuitive, sovereign part, has been waiting for this. So breathe through the discomfort. Let go of the need to explain it all. And remind yourself, every time something breaks apart, this isn't the end. It's the re-beginning. Gate 2, turning points. The new direction within Gemini. Sometimes change doesn't begin with a dramatic event. It begins with a question, a whisper in your chest, a quiet moment where something inside you says, "This isn't working anymore." That's how it begins. And yet, what follows can feel like an avalanche. Not because life is punishing you, but because once your soul decides to grow, everything that no longer aligns must be dismantled. That's what's happening now. The unexpected events that began shifting your routine weren't just external. They were mirrors. Mirrors reflecting the inner unrest, the silent longing, the truth you've tried to ignore for the sake of normalcy. And now, you can't unsee it. You may be questioning everything. Am I still fulfilled by the path I chose? Have I built a life that truly reflects me, or one that pleases others? What do I really want when no one is watching? These are not small questions. They are the beginning of a revolution within you, one that cannot be navigated by logic alone. Because what's shifting isn't just your schedule, it's your alignment. Gemini, you've always had the gift of adaptability. But now, life isn't asking you to adapt, it's asking you to choose. With clarity, with truth, with the courage to disappoint others if it means staying loyal to yourself. And that's where the turning point lies. For too long, you may have taken pride in being agreeable, flexible, diplomatic. You've been the one to say, "I'll make it work," even when it didn't feel quite right. You've made decisions with everyone else's comfort in mind, except your own. But the universe is shifting that pattern. Unexpectedly, yes. Uncomfortably, yes. But with precision. Because what's ahead of you now requires your full participation. Not your autopilot. Not your performance. Not your ability to handle it. But your presence. Your heart. Your honest, imperfect truth. This is the moment where choices become sacred. You will soon find yourself at a fork in the road. Maybe more than one. And what's beautiful is, there is no wrong path. But there is a path that feels like freedom and a path that feels like compromise. Your body will know the difference, even if your mind hesitates. So, how do you navigate? By dropping into your body, listening to the places where your breath catches, where your stomach tightens, where your chest opens. Let your decisions come from the part of you that existed before you were told who to be. And remember, quick choices don't mean reckless ones. Sometimes, the most intuitive decisions are the most aligned because they bypass the noise of overthinking and plug you directly into your inner knowing. You may find that you no longer want what you used to chase. You may notice your priorities shifting, suddenly craving simplicity over stimulation, presence over performance, meaning over momentum. This is not regression. This is integration. The external world is shifting because your inner world is finally ready to hold more truth. And the people around you? They may not all understand. Some will question your new boundaries. Others may resist the way you're changing. But the ones meant to stay in your life? They will rise to meet your new vibration. They will honor your truth even when it inconveniences them. They will love the version of you that no longer hides behind what's expected. Gemini, this chapter is about becoming the author again. The one who chooses with intention. The one who lets the old version of life go, not because it was bad, but because you've outgrown it. The one who says, I'm allowed to change direction. I'm allowed to want more. I'm allowed to make a different choice now. It's not selfish. It's sacred. Yes, there will be grief. Letting go of a path you've invested in, a dream you've outgrown, or a role you no longer fit into, it hurts. But the pain is not punishment. It's the clearing of space for something truer, something that feels like home. So in these coming weeks, you will be invited, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, to shift. Don't fight it. Don't cling to what feels familiar but false. Let the wave move through you. Trust the part of you that already knows where you're going, even if you can't explain it yet. And when the new path reveals itself, and it will, don't hesitate. Step toward it. Even if your voice shakes, even if you don't know how it ends. Step toward it because this time, it's not just a detour. It's your soul rerouting you back to yourself. Gemini, you are ready to choose again. Choose wisely. Choose fully. Choose you. Gate 3, Soul Encounters. The people who arrive when you awaken. Gemini, you've always moved through the world like a thread, weaving between people, places, and ideas with ease. You're the connector, the translator of experience, the curious spirit who sees meaning in the mundane. But now, something different is happening. This isn't about surface-level connections or intellectual compatibility. This is about soul encounters, people who arrive with timing too precise to be coincidence. People who mirror back to you parts of yourself you forgot existed. People who don't just speak to your mind, but to your essence. As your routine unravels and your inner compass resets, the universe begins to introduce new characters into your story. These are not random acquaintances. These are messengers, living mirrors, here to teach, awaken, remind, or realign. Some will feel like lightning, sudden, electric, unforgettable. Others will arrive softly, a warm glance, a subtle pull, a strange sense of déjà vu. But all of them will carry meaning. These people may enter your life through unexpected channels, a work opportunity, a delayed appointment, a chance encounter, a recommendation from a friend. Pay attention. The more your internal frequency changes, the more precisely life will align you with those meant to walk this next stretch beside you. And here's the beautiful truth. Your energy is calling them in. Because when you release the old, when you stop pretending, stop pleasing, stop hiding, you create space. And into that space, real connection rushes in. Not the kind you need to chase, the kind that recognizes you before you speak. You might meet a mentor who sees your hidden gifts and invites you to rise. A soul friend who knows your heart without needing the backstory. A creative partner whose vision is uncannily aligned with yours. Or a love that doesn't feel like falling, but like remembering. Gemini, these relationships are part of your next chapter. Not because they complete you, but because they reflect who you've become. They are the reward for your bravery, for letting go of what no longer fits, for choosing truth over comfort, for stepping out of autopilot and into presence. But here's something else to remember. Not every soul encounter is meant to last forever. Some arrive only to activate you, to show you something, to break something open, to light the fire and leave. And that's okay. Their impact isn't diminished by their duration. Trust that their timing, their message, their mirror was exactly what you needed at that moment. And what about the people you already know? Some will change. Their role in your life will shift. A longtime friend may suddenly feel distant, not because anything went wrong, but because your vibration no longer matches. A once steady partner may begin to feel confused by your clarity. Or someone who always stayed on the sidelines may suddenly step forward, ready to meet you at this new frequency. Let these transitions be what they are. Don't force old connections to carry the weight of your transformation. Honor what was, but release what no longer reflects who you are. You are allowed to outgrow relationships. You are allowed to ask for depth where there was once only surface. You are allowed to expect reciprocity. You are allowed to want magic. This is a sacred time, Gemini. The veils are thin. Your intuition is sharp. Your capacity to recognize soul-aligned people is stronger than ever. You don't need to explain why someone feels familiar, or why they suddenly feel foreign. Trust the resonance. Trust the dissonance. And trust this, too. You are one of those people for someone else. Your energy is also awakening others. Your words, your presence, your truth, these are guiding lights for someone still navigating their own awakening. And this is part of your soul contract in this lifetime, to awaken and to ripple. So as new people enter, stay open. Let yourself be vulnerable. Ask better questions. Speak without the need to impress. Show up without your mask. That's how the real ones find you. That's how the right ones stay. And if love arrives, let it arrive. But don't try to define it too quickly. Let it teach you, reveal you, and hold you. Let it move slowly or fast or sideways so long as it moves with honesty. You are not who you were in your last chapter. You're no longer here for performative intimacy or unfinished stories. You're ready for something deeper, truer, freer. This is what happens when you align. You don't chase connection. You become it. Gate 4, Inner Rebirth. The values that rise from the ashes. Gemini, when the dust settles, after the unexpected has arrived, the old has fallen away, and the truth has been spoken, something miraculous happens. You begin again, but not in the way you've started over before. This time, it's different. This isn't about reinventing your outer world. It's about remembering your inner world. This is not a reinvention. It's a return to your essence, to your values, to the part of you that was always there, but buried under years of shoulds, expectations, compromises, and noise. This is a rebirth of the real you. You're no longer chasing clarity. You are becoming it. You no longer need external validation. You're sourcing it from within. The Gemini who once needed constant variety to feel alive now finds peace and alignment. The Gemini who once feared stillness now recognizes it as sacred space. So, what's truly changing now? Your relationship to power, your relationship to responsibility, and most of all, your relationship to truth. You are beginning to rebuild your life, not from reaction, but from intention, not from survival, but from self-respect. And as this happens, your values are shifting deeply, unapologetically. What once felt urgent no longer matters. What you used to tolerate now feels intolerable. What you once believed about yourself is dissolving under the light of who you're actually becoming. And that's the gift of disruption, Gemini. It brings everything into sharp focus. It shows you what's real, what's yours, what's worth keeping, and what needs to burn. This is your Phoenix moment. And no, it's not flashy or dramatic. It's subtle. It's cellular. It's that moment when you say no to something that once defined you, and yes to something unknown but truer. It's the quiet revolution that begins when you finally stop abandoning yourself. This isn't just about career changes, new relationships, or daily habits. This is about the foundation, the internal compass, the core belief system you're choosing to live by from this point forward. So, I invite you to ask, what do I no longer believe about myself? What value do I now hold as non-negotiable? What does integrity look like, feel like, sound like, for me? You may find that you're shedding layers faster than you can articulate. That's okay. Integration takes time. You don't have to name every shift. You only need to feel it, honor it, and trust its timing. You may also find yourself walking away from old goals, not because you failed, but because they no longer reflect your current truth. That's not quitting. That's evolving. And evolution, Gemini, is your birthright. This is where your magic truly begins to shine. Not in the ability to do it all, but in the ability to discern what truly matters. You are becoming more intentional, more directed, more rooted in a kind of inner wisdom that cannot be taught, only remembered. And with this rebirth comes a new kind of strength. A strength that doesn't need to prove. A strength that doesn't rush. A strength that speaks with quiet conviction and walks with aligned action. The world may still try to pull you back into performance, into distraction, into people-pleasing, but you'll feel it now. The dissonance, the discomfort, the dishonesty. You've outgrown your tolerance for self-betrayal. You're no longer interested in playing small so others feel safe. You're no longer available for relationships that cost you your peace. You're no longer willing to contort yourself into identities that impress but do not fulfill, because you've met your truth. And now that you've met it, you cannot unknow it. Gemini, this is what your soul came for. Not to stay the same, but to remember who you really are beneath the noise. And what's ahead isn't just a new chapter. It's a new book, written in your own language, guided by your own values, powered by your own light. You don't need to explain this transformation to everyone. You don't need permission to live from your truth. You only need to trust it and keep walking forward. One step, one breath, one brave, sacred yes at a time. Conclusion, Gemini, the shift has already begun. If you're still here, if you've walked through this journey of unraveling, awakening, and realignment with me, then you already know something profound has changed. Not around you, within you. What began as small disruptions in your routine became doorways. What first felt like loss became clarity. What seemed like chaos revealed a divine intelligence shaping your life from the inside out. You are not the same soul who began this chapter. You are softer, wiser, braver. You're no longer content with surviving days that don't honor your spirit. You want truth. You want depth. You want a life that reflects your soul, not your conditioning. And that life, it's already unfolding. You've learned to trust your instincts again, to release people, patterns, and paths that no longer feel aligned, to welcome the new, not because it's safe or certain, but because it's honest. That's real growth, Gemini. That's what your spirit came here to experience. So as you move forward, do so gently. Stay present with the changes. Keep listening, especially when things are quiet. Your intuition is speaking louder than ever. Your energy is recalibrating. Your life is no longer being led by what others expect, but by what your soul knows. If this message held your heart, helped you make sense of what you've been feeling, or gave language to your inner shift, thank you for walking this path with me. I'm Elizabeth, and this is Esoteric Wisdom. I invite you, gently, lovingly, to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You're not alone in this journey. Our soul family is growing, and you're part of it now. You are not who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be.